Good morning. I'm happy to be here with you this morning. And our topic today is how fear can keep you stuck. Fear is really the bottom line for why we don't move forward with a lot of things. And I know you might be thinking, when you feel that feeling of fear, that you don't want to do something because you might feel rejected, you might feel humiliated, or you might feel just like a dumbass, right? We've all been there and felt that, including me. And the worst part about it is if you do fail, the beatings that you give yourself, the mental beatings, makes it even worse. So I'm going to share with you some tips today on how you can overcome the fear of doing something so that you can move forward. So I'm going to flash back about 10 years ago. I was really afraid to do public speaking, and I decided I would challenge myself, and I went to Toastmasters. Well, for my first speech, which was what they call an icebreaker, I was so nervous that I thought for sure people could see my heart just beating out of my chest. But I got through it. And then I did a series of about 6 more speeches, and I was still nervous, but not quite as bad as the first time. So the amazing thing, though, was I would win the best speaker like 9 out of 10 times, and it amazed me. So I learned that I could do it. So that's part 1. Part 2, flash forward about 10 years now. I was recently asked to do a presentation at a women's business networking group, and this time they said I had 30 to 40 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, 30 to 40 minutes? That seemed like an eternity. So I did a lot of preparation. I was definitely had everything ready. And then I asked myself, well, what am I so afraid of? And I thought, well, what if they're not interested in what I'm saying? So when I thought about it, I thought, well, so what? I can live with that if that's the worst thing that could happen. So I went and I did my thing, and lo and behold, I saw people taking notes, and then they asked a lot of questions. So that led me to believe that they were pretty interested in what I was talking about. So I learned that I could do that. Okay, so I got over some of my fear because I took some action. But then there's things called epic failures, and I love this terminology. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Did you know that Oprah Winfrey was fired from a reporter's job, and Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper reporting job because they said he wasn't creative enough? Well, obviously, these people didn't let that stop them, and they came to be very, very successful. And what successful people do is they have failures, but they don't really fear them. And then what they do is they learn from their failures. So that's what I would like you to do. And I want you to become a failure detective. So if there's something that you feel like you really missed the match on it and you feel like a failure, think about, well, if you did it again, what could you do better the next time? And even in my half-hour presentation, there were things that I didn't do perfectly well, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, next time I'll do it this way, a different way. So take that information and just become a failure detective, and don't beat yourself up, because epic failures are necessary. That's how many, many people get to be a success. Now, I got to tell you, I learned about something that really kind of blew my mind. There's actually a failure museum. I'm not making this up. I believe it's in Michigan, and marketing executives go to this museum, and it costs them $5,000. And there's products, like supermarket products, pharmaceutical products, and one of the products, you've probably heard of Pfizer, they were making a medication that was supposed to help with blood pressure. Well, it didn't work, didn't do anything for the blood pressure. However, it became what we now call Viagra. So that huge mistake ended up being a huge win for that company. So you can have huge wins too. And you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with weight loss coaching? It has everything to do with weight loss coaching. I know some of you have lost and gained weight so many times, and you might feel like a failure. Well, I can teach you tools so that it's not about deprivation or diets or willpower. It's really more about your mindset. And I can teach you tools that I used. I lost 50 pounds in my late 20s, and that was a long time ago. So what I'm doing is I'm opening the doors, and next week I have 3 openings for complimentary strategy sessions. And we can talk on the phone for about 30 minutes, and I'll help you figure out what your stumbling blocks have been, and I'll teach you at least one tool that you can use right away and be on your way to being successful at losing weight. Well, I hope you got some good ideas today, and I'd love to hear from you and some comments. That would be terrific. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care.